My dearest friend, my child in spirit, before we truly begin this journey together, I want to ask you to do something with me. Find a place of quiet, even if it's just the sanctuary inside your own mind. Close your eyes. I want you to travel in your memory to a moment you have stood on a vast seashore, just as the tide has fully withdrawn. Can you picture it? The sand, damp and firm, stretches out like a promised land, glistening under a sky that seems impossibly large and silent. The world itself feels suspended in a moment of profound stillness, a sacred pause between the ocean's great, slow exhale and its next anticipated inhale. In that quiet, there's a palpable tension, an energy gathering just beyond the horizon. It is a knowledge deep in your bones, a whisper in your soul, that the tide will not just return, but that its return will be a momentous event, one that will permanently reshape the shoreline. You are on the verge of encountering something new that you can't overlook. I believe, with every fiber of my being and every year of my life's experience, that our world is standing on such a shoreline right now. A great spiritual tide, one that has been receding for generations, is about to turn. I see this not with the fiery, judgmental eyes of a prophet proclaiming doom from a desolate mountaintop, but with the weathered, patient, and sometimes weary eyes of an old father who has spent a lifetime learning to read the subtle, often heartbreaking, seasons of the human heart. And because of this, I feel a deep, unshakable, and profoundly paternal urgency to sit down with you, not face to face, perhaps, but certainly heart to heart through these words, and share what I see, what I feel, and what I believe you must know. My purpose is not to fill you with a panicked fear. Fear is a cold, cramped, and suffocating prison cell with a door that has, in fact, been unlocked from the inside all along. My true and only purpose is to help awaken in you a holy readiness, a courageous and resilient spirit of preparation. For what is approaching is not merely an end to be dreaded, but a profound transition to be navigated. It is not a storm to be simply endured with gritted teeth, but a glorious new dawn that must be actively, bravely, and even joyfully welcomed. And you, my dear friend, do not ever doubt this, have a crucial, God-given, and utterly irreplaceable part to play in its rising. So please, if you will, grant an old man your most precious gift, your time and your attention. Find your quietest chair, pour a cup of something warm, and let the ceaseless noise of the world fade into the background for a little while. Walk with me through these thoughts and meditations. The truths we are about to discuss are not just comforting platitudes or religious jargon. They are the anchor, the ballast, the compass, and the map you will desperately need for the great and glorious journey that lies directly and immediately before you. I have lived long enough to watch the world change in ways my own grandfather would have deemed the stuff of fantasy. I've seen technologies sprout like mushrooms after a rain, promising to connect every corner of the globe into a single, happy family, and yet I have watched with a growing sorrow as these same technologies have often left us more isolated, more anxious, and more alone than ever before. I've seen grand political and social ideologies sweep across nations like wildfire, promising utopia on earth, only to burn themselves out, leaving behind nothing but the cold ash of cynicism and a deep-seated distrust in our fellow man. But the change I perceive now, the signs I am urging you to see, are of a different quality altogether. This is not a shift on the surface of culture or politics. It is a fundamental, seismic shift in the spiritual bedrock of humanity. It is a deep, collective ache in the soul of our world, a spiritual malady that manifests in 1,000 different ways. Of course, the obvious outward signs are there for all to see, the signs of distress the Spirit so clearly warns us about. The constant, unnerving drumbeat of wars and rumors of wars, conflicts fueled by ancient hatreds and modern ambitions, the groaning of the earth itself, as if in agony, through unprecedented storms, fires, floods, and quakes that defy all previous records. The bitter, shrieking division in the halls of power and on the screens in our homes, where conversation has been replaced by combat and wisdom has been supplanted by volume. These things are but the fever symptoms, the visible, violent trembling of a world that is foundationally and spiritually unwell. But a good father, like a truly good doctor, knows that one must look past the symptoms to diagnose the underlying illness. And the illness, my friend, is of the soul. I ask you to look with me now, not merely with your physical eyes, but with the eyes of your heart, the seat of your discernment. Look at the frantic, almost desperate chase for things that glitter but possess no warmth, no life. I see it so clearly in the face of a young man I spoke with some months ago, a brilliant professional who had climbed the ladder of success with breathtaking speed. He had acquired everything our culture holds up as a trophy: the high-powered job, the six-figure salary, the sleek European car, the stunning apartment with a panoramic view of the city. He was the very picture of modern success. Yet, in a rare moment of unguarded honesty, his shoulders slumped, and he confessed to me, his voice barely a whisper, "I feel like a ghost haunting my own life. I've achieved every single goal I ever set for myself, and I feel absolutely nothing. What now?" His story is not unique. It is the silent, secret story of millions. We are a culture chasing a phantom of fulfillment, building our lives on the shifting, treacherous sands of material wealth, professional accolades, and the fleeting, fickle praise of others. We build bigger, more impressive houses, only to find our homes are emptier and quieter than ever. We meticulously curate online personas and collect thousands of followers, yet we lack a single, loyal friend we could call at 3 o'clock in the morning in a moment of true crisis. Our world has become a grand, noisy, endlessly distracting carnival, and its primary business is to keep us from noticing the hollowing emptiness within. 1,000 voices a day, 1,000,000 messages, scream for our attention, our money, our outrage, our allegiance. Buy this, and you will finally be happy. Believe this, and you will be safe. Hate them, and you will be righteous. And in this deafening, disorienting cacophony, the quiet, gentle, persistent whisper of the Spirit, the only voice that knows our true name, our deepest wound, our highest calling, and our way home is all but drowned out. I see a generation literally starving for meaning in a banquet of triviality. I see them seeking it in the temporary comforts of this existence, in fleeting pleasures that promise escape but deliver only a deeper, more profound ache, in rigid political or social tribes that promise a sense of belonging but demand a frightening conformity of thought and a shared object of hatred, in charismatic self-help gurus who offer 7-step formulas for success but know absolutely nothing of grace. People's hearts are growing colder, more cynical, more guarded. Trust, the very bedrock of human society, has become a currency so devalued it is nearly worthless. We build high, thick walls around our hearts to protect ourselves from the pain of betrayal, and then we stand inside these self-made prisons, shivering in the dark, and wonder why we feel so profoundly and terribly alone. This was always meant to happen. It is not a cosmic accident. Why? Because the human soul was handcrafted by a divine artist, God Himself for the express purpose of containing Him. There is an eternal, God-shaped void at the very center of our being, and we, in our foolish pride, spend our entire lives trying to fill that sacred space with temporary, created things. It is an act of utter futility, like trying to fill the vastness of the Grand Canyon with a single teaspoon of sand. You can work at it with all your might for 100 years and you will make no discernible progress. The soul was made for eternity, and it will remain restless, aching, and unsatisfied until it finds its true and final rest in its Creator. Many people, perhaps even the majority, are deeply asleep to this spiritual reality. They will be the ones caught completely and utterly off guard when the systems they have placed their unquestioning faith in, economic systems, political systems, social systems, begin to shake, shudder, and crumble. Their initial bewilderment will curdle into a raw fear, and that fear will inevitably fester into a bitter anger. They will frantically look for someone or something to blame. But you, my friend, have been given a precious and sacred gift. You are being called by name to awaken from this slumber. You have been selected, not because you are better or more deserving than anyone else, but by sheer grace, to see past the immediate chaos and to understand that all this must happen before a glorious new beginning. This awareness is not a privilege designed to make you feel superior. It is a profound and heavy responsibility. It is the sounding of the divine alarm clock, not for you to roll over and hit the snooze button, but for you to get out of bed, stretch your spiritual muscles, and begin the essential work of preparation. If preparation is the essential task before us, what, then, does this preparation truly look like? I must tell you with all the earnestness in my soul, it does not begin with stockpiling food, hoarding gold, or drawing up elaborate plans to escape to a remote compound. There is a place for practical wisdom, of course, but the most fundamental, the most critical, the most non-negotiable preparation is entirely internal. It is the sacred, and often profoundly difficult and painful, art of letting go. It is a direct and unambiguous call from your Creator to leave behind the life you have known, to release every single thing that has held you back, tied you down, and kept you from becoming the person you were created to be. Imagine once more, if you will, that you are preparing for the most challenging and important journey of your entire life. A wise and experienced traveler packs with a ruthless and unsentimental efficiency. He knows from hard-won experience that every single ounce of unnecessary weight will feel like 100 pounds of dead, crushing weight when he is on the long, arduous mountain pass. So, he lays out all of his possessions before him and asks of each and every item, not, "Do I like this?" or "Did I pay a lot for this?" but one simple, vital question: will this help me on my journey, or will it hinder me? I am asking you now, as your friend and father in spirit, to undertake this same sacred inventory with your own life. Lay it all out before God in the quiet sanctuary of your heart, and begin the great, liberating work of unburdening. We must begin with the tangible things, the material possessions that have such an intangible, yet powerful, hold on our souls. Our culture screams at us from birth that we are what we own, that our value as a human being is directly proportional to our net worth, that security is found in the size of our bank account. But I tell you, echoing the timeless truth of the Spirit, that material wealth will diminish, its comforts are fleeting, and its promise of security is the most dangerous illusion of all. What you are being asked to leave behind is nothing but dust and rust compared to the eternal, incorruptible treasure that awaits you. Let me be clear. This is not a blanket call to a life of radical poverty for every single person, unless you are specifically and clearly guided to it by God. It is, however, a call to a radical and fundamental change in your perspective. It is the crucial shift from a mentality of ownership to a spirit of stewardship. Ownership is the voice of the ego. It says, "This is mine. My identity, my security, my status, and my comfort depend entirely on possessing and protecting this." Stewardship, on the other hand, is the voice of the soul. It says, "This has been entrusted to my care for a season. My identity is found solely in my beloved Creator. My security rests in His unwavering love. My comfort is sourced from His constant presence. How, then, can I use this resource He has given me for His glory and for the genuine good of others?" Look honestly at your life. Are you a steward or an owner? Do your possessions serve your life's true God-given purpose, or do you spend the majority of your life's energy serving them, worrying about them, ensuring them, upgrading them, protecting them? The divine invitation being extended to you today is to intentionally, prayerfully, and systematically loosen your grip. It is to make the conscious, daily choice to find your ultimate security, not in a stock portfolio, a property deed, or a retirement plan, but in the unshakable, unbreakable, and unfailing love of your Heavenly Father. He who clothes the lilies of the field in a splendor greater than Solomon's, and who feeds the birds of the air who neither sow nor reap, will He not also provide every single thing you truly need, for you are His cherished child? Beyond mere possessions, we must also address and let go of the comfortable routines and habits that subtly numb our spirit. The hours lost to the hypnotic, mindless scrolling through the lives of others. The casual conversations that revolve around gossip, complaint, and criticism, which darken the tongue and harden the heart. The small, seemingly insignificant daily compromises that slowly but surely dull the sharp, bright edge of our integrity. These are the fleeting comforts of this existence. They feel safe, familiar, and comfortable, like a well-worn armchair. But you must understand that this armchair is sitting in a house that has been slated for demolition. To remain comfortably seated is to choose, by default, to go down with the house. Letting go of these deep-seated habits requires immense courage and moment-by-moment vigilance. It demands a willing heart, a spirit ready to endure the temporary, sometimes sharp, discomfort of withdrawal for the sake of a permanent and glorious freedom. Even heavier, more burdensome, and more insidiously crippling than any physical possession are the invisible burdens we carry in the depths of our minds and hearts. Chief among these, the master chain from which all other chains are forged, is fear. Fear is the adversary's native language, his most effective and time-tested tool. It is the constant, hissing whisper in the dark corners of our minds. You are not good enough. You will certainly fail. You are utterly alone. God has forgotten you, if He was ever there at all. Fear is the toxic root from which so much of our sin and dysfunction grows. Our greed is fear of scarcity. Our pride is fear of insignificance. Our anger is often fear of being controlled or wronged. You are being called now to a direct, courageous, and unflinching confrontation with fear, to let go of the things that have caused you fear and doubt. This isn't a call to a foolhardy bravado, to pretending you're not afraid. It is a call to act in faith, despite the feeling of fear, knowing that the one who is with you is greater than the one who is in the world. Let us dissect these specters and drag them into the light. The fear of the unknown and of change. We humans are creatures of habit and comfort. We cling desperately to the familiar, even a familiar misery, because the vast, uncharted territory of the unknown is terrifying to our ego, which craves control. But the path God is calling you to is, by its very definition, a path into the unknown. You cannot see the final destination. Often, you cannot even see the path more than one single step ahead. This is by divine design. He is weaning you off of your dependence on your own sight, your own plans, your own maps. He is teaching you, step by painful step, to walk by faith, not by sight. He is teaching you to depend not on your own limited understanding, but on Him, the all-knowing, all-loving, and completely trustworthy guide. Letting go of this deep-seated fear means learning to whisper in the darkness with a trembling but resolute voice. I do not know where I am going, but I know the one who is leading me, and I know that He is good. The fear of vulnerability and surrender. Our pride, that stubborn core of the old self, wants to be in control at all times. It wants to be self-sufficient, strong, capable, and invulnerable. To truly rely completely on God, however, requires the one thing our pride abhors: surrender. It means admitting that we are not, in fact, in control. It means opening our tightly clenched fists and relinquishing our own carefully crafted plans, our cherished ambitions, our secret desires. This is perhaps the most terrifying act of faith of all. But I promise you, from a lifetime of falling and being picked back up, that in the moment of that authentic surrender, you do not find weakness as you feared. You find, to your astonishment, a strength that is not your own, a divine power that flows into your emptiness and is made perfect in your admitted weakness. The fear of failure and judgment. How many of us are living our lives in small, cramped prisons built brick by the opinions of others? We are so desperately afraid of being seen as different, as foolish, as too religious, as a failure in the eyes of the world. As you begin this journey in earnest, the world, and perhaps even those closest to you, will look at you with confusion, pity, or even disdain. They are focused on earthly things, trapped by their own desires and fears. You must let go of the crippling need for their approval. It is a thirst that can never be quenched. You are not living for an audience of your peers. You are living for an audience of one. Their applause is as fleeting as smoke, and their criticism is utterly powerless against the eternal truth of who you are and whose you are. This entire comprehensive process of letting go culminates in the most profound and necessary farewell of all, the farewell to the old version of yourself. The person you were is not the person you are becoming. You are in the midst of a divine metamorphosis, being transformed, remade, and renewed from the inside out. The old you, with its entire operating system based on fear, pride, self-reliance, doubt, and insecurity, must be lovingly but firmly, and with full ceremony, laid to rest. This is the deeper meaning behind the words that speak of being refined and having your heart cleansed. Think of a master goldsmith. He does not throw a lump of unrefined gold into the crucible of fire because he hates it or wants to destroy it. He puts it into the fire because he loves it. He knows, with his expert eye, the precious, gleaming, and priceless metal that lies hidden beneath the layers of dross, impurity, and filth. The trials, challenges, and pains you have faced in your life have not been random, meaningless punishments. They have been the refining fire of a loving Father, expertly designed to burn away all that is not eternal, all that is not truly you, leaving only what is pure, strong, true, and of infinite worth. Think of a simple seed. For it to fulfill its destiny and become a mighty tree, it must first be buried in the dark earth. It must surrender its current form. It must die. Its hard outer shell must break open in a way that looks and feels like destruction. To an outside observer, this process looks like the end. But in the darkness, in the breaking, a miracle of transformation is taking place. You, my friend, are in that chrysalis, that dark soil, right now. Do not fight the process. Do not curse the darkness or the breaking. Surrender to it. Trust the divine biology of the Spirit. Let go of the person you were, so that you can finally become the magnificent person you were always created to be from the beginning of time. Letting go, as essential as it is not an end in itself. It is the necessary, back-breaking work of clearing the ground. Once the old, dilapidated, and unsafe structure of our self-reliant life is demolished, and the rubble of our past failures and fears is cleared away, we are left with a clean slate, a fresh plot of ground. But we cannot, under any circumstances, leave that ground empty. Nature and spirit both abhor a vacuum. If we do not intentionally build something new, the weeds of our old habits and fears will grow back with a vengeance. We must, therefore, actively, intentionally, and daily begin to build our new life on a foundation that cannot be shaken, even when the very foundations of the earth are shaken by the coming storms. That unshakable rock is your personal, living, breathing, moment-by-moment relationship with the living God. Your first, most vital, and ongoing construction project is to build a sanctuary of silence in the midst of your noisy, chaotic life. I have said this before, and I will say it again and again, for it is the master key that unlocks every other door in the spiritual life. God's voice is most often a still, small whisper. You simply cannot hear a whisper in the middle of a shouting match. Therefore, you must intentionally, even ruthlessly, carve out time and space in your day to be still and seek Him. What does this look like in the grit and grime of a real, busy life? It is far more than just mumbling a quick, perfunctory prayer before you rush out the door. It is about creating a sacred appointment and keeping it. Prepare your space. Prepare your heart. Find your place. It might be a specific chair in the corner of your living room in the pre-dawn darkness. It might be a bench in a quiet park during your lunch break. It might even be your car pulled over in a quiet spot. The specific place and time are less important than the consistency and the intention you bring to it. Before you begin, take a few deep breaths. Consciously release the tension in your shoulders. Offer this time to God as a gift. Come as you are, not as you think you should be. This is critical. Do not wait until you feel holy or have your life perfectly in order to come to God. That day will never arrive. Come with your weariness, your frustration, your confusion, your doubt. He is your Father. He is not shocked or disappointed by your humanity. He welcomes it. Bring everything to Him, the good, the bad, and the ugly, for His throne is one of mercy and patience that flow endlessly. Learn the rhythm of a true conversation. Prayer is a two-way conversation, and most of us are terrible at the listening part. We treat it like a monologue where we present God with our list of demands and concerns, and then say, "Amen," and walk away. After you have poured out your heart, your praise, your confession, your thanksgiving, your requests, be silent. Wait, patiently. This is the hardest part. Learn to distinguish the voice of God from the cacophony of your own anxiety, your wishful thinking, or the deceptive whispers of the enemy. How does he speak? His guidance may come through his teachings, where ancient promises suddenly come to life and seem written just for you. It might be a sudden, intuitive insight that cuts through your confusion and brings a startling clarity. It could be a dream in the night, a word of wisdom from a trusted friend, or a deep, abiding sense of peace about a decision. He is always present, always speaking. We must train the ear of our heart to recognize his frequency. This daily appointment is your spiritual lifeline. It is the well from which you draw your strength, your wisdom, your discernment, and your peace. Without it, you will be attempting to navigate the coming tempests with an empty spiritual tank, running on nothing but fumes. Building your life upon the rock means learning to trust God completely, especially when it feels illogical, counterintuitive, or downright reckless from a worldly perspective. The world often mocks this as blind faith, but it is not blind at all. It is a different, deeper way of seeing. It is not faith in an abstract philosophical concept, but a relational trust in a person whose character has been proven faithful, loving, and true throughout all of human history. What does this rugged, active trust look like in our daily lives? It is reliance, not a demand for understanding. Faith does not mean you will always understand the why behind your circumstances. In fact, I can assure you that, more often than not, you will not. The way forward may seem uncertain. It means choosing to believe that even when the path is shrouded in fog and you are filled with doubt, he sees the entire picture, and that his plans for you are good, designed to give you hope in a future. It's the profound difference between being a passenger in a car driven by a blindfolded stranger and being a small child holding your loving father's hand as he leads you through a dark and scary forest. You don't need to see the entire path ahead. You just need to trust the hand that holds yours. It is an active verb, not a passive noun. Trust is not a passive feeling of optimism. It is not sitting back and waiting for God to magically do everything for you. It is an active, dynamic verb. It is taking the next courageous step of obedience that he has made clear to you, even when your knees are knocking. It is speaking the truth when a lie would be easier. It is showing kindness and forgiveness when your flesh screams for revenge. It is giving generously from your resources when you are feeling the pinch of scarcity. Faith must be exercised. It is a muscle. The more you use it, even in small ways, the stronger it becomes. It is the daily discipline of casting your cares. The invitation in Scripture to cast all your worries and concerns upon him is a genuine, standing invitation. I want you to picture this literally. Imagine gathering up all your anxieties, your financial worries, your health concerns, your fears for your children, your professional anxieties into a heavy, burdensome sack. Now, in your mind's eye, walk to the foot of his throne and consciously let go of that sack, letting it fall at his feet. This is not a one-time act. It is a daily, sometimes hourly, spiritual discipline. Every single time you feel that cold, familiar grip of anxiety tightening around your heart, you must consciously repeat this act of release, affirming in your spirit, "You are God. I am not. You are in control, and I trust you." I remember a time in my own life, many years ago, when my wife was gravely ill. The doctors were not optimistic. The nights were long and filled with a fear so thick I could taste it. It was a suffocating fear, a fear for her life, a fear of being left alone, a fear of the future. Every logical sign pointed toward despair, and all we could do as a family, was get on our knees every morning, our hearts breaking, and say, "God, she is yours. We love her, but you love her more. We have done everything we can. We trust you, no matter the outcome. It was the hardest, most gut-wrenching thing I have ever done. But in that absolute, bottom-of-the-barrel surrender, a peace that made absolutely no logical sense began to settle in our hearts. It didn't take the pain away, but it sat alongside the pain, holding it. And in His time, in His way, He brought healing. He taught me a lesson I have never forgotten. His divine strength is most clearly and powerfully visible precisely at the point where our own human strength has completely and utterly run out. While your spiritual journey is deeply personal and unique to you, it was never, ever meant to be a solitary one. The enemy's strategy is always to isolate, to cut us off from the herd where we are most vulnerable. God's strategy, conversely, is always to build a family, a community, a body. The original message you received rightfully urges you to share this message, to encourage others, and to support the community. This is not a casual suggestion or a nice add-on. It is a critical, non-negotiable component of your preparation and your survival. A healthy, authentic faith community is a veritable fortress of hope in a decaying and fragmented world. It is a place of mutual encouragement. There will be days when your own faith flickers and feels like it's about to be extinguished by the winds of doubt or despair. On those days, you desperately need brothers and sisters to come alongside you, to shield your tiny flame with their own, and to speak words of life, truth, and hope over you until your own strength returns. A place of loving accountability. We all have blind spots. We all have tendencies to drift toward compromise or self-deception. You need trusted friends in your life who love you enough to ask you the hard questions, who will lovingly and gently challenge you to live up to your high calling in Christ and not settle for the cheap comfort of mediocrity. A place of shared wisdom and strength. No single person has all the answers or all the strengths. In a healthy community, the wisdom and experience of the many become a powerful resource for all. One person's strength in prayer supports another's weakness. Another's gift of discernment protects the group from deception. Together, you are exponentially stronger than you are apart. A practical training ground for love. It is relatively easy to love a theoretical humanity in the abstract. It is much harder, and therefore much more holy and transformative, to consistently love the real, flawed, and sometimes annoying people in your actual life. It is in the day-to-day friction of community that we truly learn to practice the rugged, difficult arts of forgiveness, patience, humility, and selfless, sacrificial love. I urge you, with all my heart, find your people. If you are part of such a community, invest in it deeply. If you are not, begin to pray and search for one. Be vulnerable, be real, be committed, forgive quickly, serve gladly. As the structures of the world become more and more unreliable, these sacred bonds of authentic spiritual fellowship will become one of your greatest sources of strength, resilience, and joy. We are meant to walk this path together, hand in hand, shoulder to shoulder, discovering what lies ahead. This profound, life-altering, and sometimes arduous work of preparation, this great unburdening, this intentional building on the unshakable rock, is not just for your own benefit. It is not merely a spiritual survival strategy or a personal escape plan. You are being refined, strengthened, filled up, and set apart for a great and glorious purpose, for a divine mission that only you can fulfill. In a world that is rapidly and visibly growing darker with the shadows of confusion, cynicism, fear, and despair, you, my friend, are being called to be a keeper of the flame. You are tasked with a high and holy calling, to be a beacon of light, a lighthouse standing firm, tall, and defiant on the rock of ages amidst a raging, churning, and disorienting storm. Let us explore this metaphor of the lighthouse keeper for a moment. The keeper does not and cannot calm the storm. He does not have the power to part the waves. He cannot silence the howling wind. He has only one singular, critical job: to make sure the light shines. He must stand on his unshakable foundation, tend the lamp with diligence, clean the lens with care, and radiate a steady, reliable, and life-saving light, cutting through the darkest and most treacherous night, guiding the lost, the broken, and the terrified sailors safely to the harbor. Your life, grounded in the unshakable peace of Christ and radiating his unconditional, transformative love, is meant to be that lighthouse for the people in your world. So, the inevitable question arises: what is my specific mission? It is a question as unique to you as your own fingerprint. God is not a factory manager overseeing an assembly line. He is a master artist who creates unique masterpieces. He has given you a specific and unique blend of gifts, talents, passions, life experiences, and a sphere of influence that is yours and yours alone. Your primary mission might not be to preach to thousands from a stage. It might be to raise your children with integrity, courage, and a deep love for God in a culture that opposes all three. It might be to bring a spirit of unwavering honesty, excellence, and compassion to your secular workplace. It might be to care for an elderly and difficult parent with a patience and grace that seems supernatural. It might be to create art, music, painting, writing that bypasses the cynical mind and speaks directly to the aching heart, revealing glimpses of beauty, truth, and transcendence. Do not ever underestimate the monumental, eternal significance of a quiet, ordinary life lived with extraordinary faithfulness. However, whatever your specific, personal context may be, your universal mission, the mission of every keeper of the flame, has several key components. To be a living witness to the truth. In a world that has become a veritable hall of mirrors, built on seductive and comforting lies, your very life is meant to be a testament to the solid, grounding reality of the truth. This is not an argumentative, obnoxious, I'm right and you're wrong kind of truth. People are exhausted by arguments. They are desperate for authenticity. It is a compassionate, patient, lived-out truth that others can see, feel, and ultimately be drawn to be a willing conduit of divine love. The world is literally dying from a lack of real love. It is not starved for sentimentality or romance. Our movies and songs are full of those. It is starved for the rugged, sacrificial, persistent, and unconditional love of God. The agape love that loves the unlovable, forgives the unforgivable, and stays when everyone else walks away. You are being called to be a clean, open channel through which this divine love can flow to the parched and thirsty people around you. This is the love that will heal the brokenhearted, uplift the weak, and satisfy the spiritually hungry. To be a resonant voice of rugged hope. When nearly every other voice in the culture is speaking of despair, division, and decline, you are called to be a clear, resonant voice of hope. This is not a naive, head-in-the-sand optimism that ignores the reality of suffering. It is a rugged, battle-tested hope that is grounded in the unwavering conviction that God is sovereign, that He is good, and that His redemptive purposes will ultimately prevail, no matter how dark things may appear in the present moment. Do not be discouraged by resistance, mockery, or the seeming lack of visible results. Your task is not to achieve a certain metric of success. Your task is simply to be faithful. You are a farmer planting seeds. You cannot control the weather. You cannot change the quality of the soil in another person's heart. Your job is simply to faithfully, daily, sow the seeds of truth, love, and hope. God, the master gardener, is the one who will bring about the harvest, often in seasons and in ways you will never see in this lifetime. But be assured, no act of faithfulness, no matter how small or unseen, is ever wasted in God's economy. Every small act of faith, every word of truth spoken in love, every quiet prayer offered for another, has the power to create ripples of grace that extend farther than you can possibly imagine, into eternity itself. You are a vital and irreplaceable part of a grand, cosmic story of redemption that began at the dawn of time and will stretch into a glorious eternity. Embrace your role. Pick up your flame. Your watch has begun. Conclusion. A letter from home, glimpsing the splendor and substance of the coming dawn. My dear friend, as we come to the end of this long and heartfelt conversation, I want to leave you with one final thing. I want to leave you with a vision. I want you to try, with the eyes of your heart, to glimpse the splendor, the substance, and the sheer, breathtaking beauty of the dawn you are preparing for. For this entire journey, this great, painful, and liberating farewell to the old world and the old self is not, at its core, about what you are losing. It is, and always has been, entirely about what you are gaining. The promise is not for a life that is free from trouble. That is a childish fantasy. The promise is for a life that is infused with a divine peace that transcends and defies trouble. It is a peace that surpasses all human understanding, a deep, internal serenity and stability that remains steadfast and sure even when the storms of life are raging at their most terrifying. It is the quiet, unshakable confidence of a small child who feels completely safe and secure in her father's strong arms, even in the middle of a violent thunderstorm. The promise is for a joy that is not contingent upon your circumstances. The world's happiness is a fragile, fickle thing. It comes and goes with the state of our health, our finances, our relationships. The joy of the Lord is an artesian well, an underground river of divine delight that flows from the deep, settled knowledge that you are seen, known, cherished, and unconditionally loved by the Creator and Sustainer of the entire universe. It is a joy that can coexist with sorrow, a deep bass note of gladness that hums beneath all the other melodies of life. The promise is for a love that will never fail you, never leave you, never betray you, never be taken from you. You are being drawn into a relationship with God so intimate, so real, so vibrant, that your own heart will begin to beat in a new rhythm, the rhythm of His grace. Your desires, your ambitions, your very will slowly but surely begin to align with His perfect, loving will for your life. You will begin to see the world and its people with His eyes of compassion. You will begin to love with a small measure of His great, selfless heart. The time is now. Every single day that passes is a precious, unrepeatable gift, an opportunity to prepare your heart. The moment of transition, the turning of the great tide, is approaching more swiftly than any of us truly realize. Do not hesitate any longer. Do not put this sacred work off until tomorrow, for tomorrow is promised to no one. Today, this very moment, as you read these words, is the accepted time. Release your heavy burdens into His strong, capable hands. Let go of your crippling, paralyzing fears. Embrace the new, abundant, and meaningful life that is being offered to you with open hands, an open heart, and a willing spirit. Congratulations, my loyal child. Well done. You have fought the good fight. You have finished the race. You have kept the faith. Enter now into the eternal joy I have prepared for you from before the foundation of the world. Until that great and glorious day, my friend, live fully, love bravely, and keep your eyes fixed on the eastern horizon, for the dawn is breaking. You were born for such a time as this. With all my fatherly love and my most earnest and constant prayers, your friend and brother on the journey,